Have you ever found yourself at the kitchen table late one evening, coffee going cold, staring at an email from Fidelity that quietly says you're only at 73% of your retirement goal? That familiar knot in your stomach hits hard. Your mind starts spinning through every dollar you've saved, every sacrifice you've made, wondering if it'll really be enough when the paychecks stop coming. Millions of us in our 50s and 60s know that exact feeling all too well. But what if the story we've been told about needing $1.46 million isn't the full picture? What if the real data tells a quieter, more hopeful truth that hardly anyone is saying out loud? We're not chasing another scary headline or plugging numbers into another flashy calculator today. Instead, we're opening the actual case file together, pulling straight from the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances and the Employee Benefit Research Institute, the raw government data the industry has had on its desk for years. We'll move through it layer by layer, watching how the official benchmarks and real American retirement keep drifting apart in ways that feel almost too convenient. Let's begin at the surface, the part most people see but rarely sit with long enough. For Americans aged 65 to 74, right in the middle of today's retiree years, the average retirement account balance sits around $69,000. It sounds modest until you remember how averages work when a small number of people hold millions. Those big balances pull the mean upward while the typical person stays far behind. The median gives a clearer, quieter truth about $200,000. Half of all retirees today have less than that saved. Zoom out further and the picture sharpens. Only 7.2% of all Americans, including younger workers who still have decades ahead, have reached $500,000 or more in retirement accounts. Among those already retired, just 3.2% have crossed the million-dollar mark. 97 out of every 100 simply haven't. If the industry's favorite benchmark of $1.46 million is truly the bare minimum for a comfortable retirement, these numbers should describe a slow-moving national emergency. 93% of today's retirees would be falling short, living on the edge of something close to disaster. Yet, when the Employee Benefit Research Institute asked retirees to rate their satisfaction on a scale of 1 to 10, even in the chaotic pandemic year of 2020, 62% still gave themselves an 8 or higher. Most of them nowhere near a million saved. That quiet contradiction lands heavily. The data says one thing: real life keeps answering something else. This is where the picture begins to shift in a way that feels almost too convenient once you look closer. Think back to the early 90s, that subtle turning point when the ground beneath American retirement started moving. Defined benefit pensions, the old reliable kind that simply mailed you a monthly check for life, began disappearing at scale. Private sector pension participation fell from 38% of workers in 1980 to roughly 13% by 2019. Suddenly, millions of ordinary people were handed 401ks and IRAs and told in effect, you figure this out now. No guaranteed paycheck, no big safety net, just your own account balance, and a new layer of uncertainty you never asked for. Financial institutions stepped in with what people seemed to need: clear targets, modeling software, and advisors ready to help. But their revenue came from a straightforward formula: 1 to 1.5% of assets under management every year. The more dollars in those accounts, the more they earned. A 1% fee on $200,000 costs $2,000 annually. Over 30 years, the opportunity cost, the growth that money never compounds, reaches roughly $170,000. Scale that to the industry's favorite target of $1.46 million, and you see why the sticker price was never an innocent mistake. It was engineered to keep assets growing. You can read the exact structure in any Form ADV filed with the SEC. It's public, disclosed, and quietly profitable. What really hits home is how this same system creates two very different realities on the same street in Akron, Ohio. Frank is 67, a retired postal worker with 31 steady years of service. He saved $140,000 in his thrift savings plan. By every benchmark, he should be a cautionary tale. Yet Frank receives a federal pension of $1,900 a month and claimed Social Security at 66 for another $2,050 a month. His house has been paid off since age 61. His total guaranteed monthly income is $3,950. His actual expenses run about $3,200 a month. Frank is cash flow positive every month. He checks his Vanguard fund twice a year and hasn't traded in 3 years. Sequence of returns risk barely touches him. Right next door lives Gary. Gary has $800,000 in a brokerage account with an advisor charging 1.1% a year, $8,800 annually in fees. No pension. Mortgage until 71. He needs to withdraw roughly 4.4% each year. Gary reads every article, attends webinars, and still feels behind. His retirement date keeps moving later. On paper, Gary looks far more successful. In real life, Frank sleeps better. But here's the part most people miss when staring only at the savings number. The entire conversation has been built around the wrong question. It's not really about how much you have saved. It's about how much income you need every month, how much is already guaranteed from sources that ignore market swings, and what gap your savings must actually cover. Social Security for a single average wage worker at full retirement age delivers between $1,800 and $2,500 a month inflation. Adjusted for life, a married couple can see $3,500 to $4,500 combined. That's the equivalent of an $800,000 to over $1 million annuity provided without fees. Consider someone like many of us, 52 years old, earning $120,000 a year with $380,000 saved and mortgage payoff at 65. His Social Security at full retirement age is roughly $2,300 a month. His spouse adds $950. Combined guaranteed income $3,250. Projected retirement spending with grown kids and no mortgage or commuting costs is about $4,700 a month. The gap is only $1,450 a month or $17,400 a year, using the 4% rule that needs just $435,000 in savings. Even with zero new contributions, his current balance at 6% real return over 15 years grows to approximately $911,000 more than double the actual need. Yet the benchmark report still says he's only at 73% of his goal. The model erases the income floor and measures against a sticker price never built for real life. And this is the final quiet twist that changes everything. Believing the sticker price doesn't just cost fees, it reshapes behavior over decades. People who feel perpetually behind panic sell in corrections, hide in safe, low-return assets out of fear, or stop opening statements because shame creeps in. The anxiety the industry sells sometimes creates the shortfall it warns against. Frank, with $140,000, carries almost no sequence risk because his income floor covers nearly everything. Gary, with $800,000, carries far more because he must pull aggressively from the portfolio. The industry's answer is always more assets. A quieter, often better path is maximizing the income floor first, perhaps by delaying Social Security to 70 for that guaranteed 8% annual increase, or budgeting from actual line items instead of arbitrary percentages. So we return to that same kitchen table. 97 out of every 100 retirees do not have $500,000 saved, but most are not living the disaster the benchmarks describe. They are playing a different game built on two piles the loudest voices rarely show together. Once you clearly see the guaranteed income pile, the sticker price stops looking like destiny. It looks like what it always was, a number designed to keep attention on the pile that generates fees. What paradox in your own planning has surprised you most? Share your Social Security estimate or a short story of someone who retired comfortably on less than the targets in the comments. Let's keep unpacking these layers together.